Yo, welcome back, FHP Full Heel Podcast. I want to thank every one of my subscribers. I have reached 100 subscribers on YouTube. Might not seem like a big number, but to me it is. I want to welcome my guest, Ryan. I don't want to keep you quiet. Ryan, what's going on?
Please, that's Eastern Champion.
Oh, Eastern Champion.
We rep in the North up here now.
Ryan, the
Taking down the Warriors.
Attitude Era correspondent. I am Donkeytron wrestling number one wrestling observer. Because apparently you could just fucking call yourself whatever you want when it's entertainment.
I don't. Anyone in the business, you say Dave Meltzer, like fuck Dave Meltzer. so I think you can be number one very easily.
Yes, thank you. Number one wrestling observer. We will be talking about AEW. We will touch on it a little bit. But today we will be going over WCW Spring Stampede 2000. First, I want to thank the Rewrites for letting me borrow their music. Check those guys out on iTunes, on Podbean. I don't think they're on Podbean. On Twitter, all that good stuff, all the social medias. The Rewrites, local Chicago band. My buddies help me podcast. Check them out on Fight Companions. I use all their music. Awesome guys. And if you guys don't know Ryan, you guys can suck my ass.
Yeah.
But, Ryan, I met Ryan through Average Joe's MMA show. Yeah, because I've had you on a couple times, but for our new listeners, I don't think we reintroduced you. So Ryan's
a very random connection, like through Blake Stevenson, setting up that group and all like the little interconnections that a bunch of podcasts ended up doing. Just led us together, and we somehow broke away from MMA and found another common interest, and we bonded over that over the 2 years, maybe a bit more, a bit less, give or take.
It's weird because I know it's been a year since I've been on Average Joe's, but we've been in contact and in communication even since before then, just through Facebook and talking,
right.
listening to each other's podcasts and stuff like that. And now you're on FHP. We're breaking down this is, I guess, still considered Attitude Era content. So the title is accurate. It's not WWE.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, they always say Attitude Era died in, was it WrestleMania, I think 17 or 18, which would be around 02, 03. But it really does feel like 2000 was a changing of the guard. It felt like a transition period, but they don't have a name for it, I guess. So the 90s, late 97 to 2002-ish, I guess, is all encompasses the Attitude Era. So.
Yep. So let's see. I guess we can talk about AEW.
Yeah, sure. We can touch on that quickly.
Let's see. My thoughts on it. I would definitely give it an A+. And I know it's grading it very highly, but guys, it's their second fucking pay-per-view. They have one show that's been on TNT, which was their lead-in show to this. They're starting their thing in the fall. They're a fairly new company, and for what they did for this AEW card, I think it was All In. I think that was the name of it.
It was All In.
It was a Double or Nothing.
That was All In was the first one. Double or Nothing was the one from this past weekend.
Okay, yeah. So Double or Nothing was this one, and they put on one hell of a pay-per-view. I'm going in October. Me and Jesus we already talked about it. We're going in October. As soon as tickets go on sale, we're going to buy them. I know a lot of people right now are dividing themselves and choosing sides. I'm not one of those guys. I'm going to continue to watch WWE or WWE. I will continue to watch their product. As soon as AEW Dynamite comes on TNT, I'm gonna start watching that as well, and probably give more breakdowns of that as well. But it's great to see competition.
Well, you look at the era that we talk about with the Attitude Era. Like, the reason why it worked so well is because WCW was a struggling organization and WWF was a stagnant company. And the second that one blew up in WCW, the other one had to keep going and pushing. And ECW got big, and then they both get bought into WWE now, I guess. And then you look at TNA, and they tried their hardest, but they lost too many guys to old age and to WWE. And you see the product getting stale a lot now. Like it was kind of in like the early 2000s, like 2003 2000, like I'd say seven. A lot of the product was just repetition of storylines, and that nothing was new was coming out. And so I'm really hoping that the AEW can push them to kind of get back, because seeing the storylines that we're going over these when we watch these pay-per-views, those storylines with today's competition, like if they could get that kind of writing with the talent that they have right now in WWE, they could be just as big, if not bigger, than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But they need something to push them, and I think Cody Rhodes leading the charge is perfect, because he left on like rough terms. He's not a big fan, and he's convincing a lot of his friends to stay put, which is causing like bidding wars. It's all the late '90s all over again, which is a lot of fun if you're a wrestling fan.
Yeah, so I was completely incorrect in what I thought was going to happen. I thought they were going to build him through the Indies, and he was going to come back into. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. With John Moxley. So let's touch on the card real quick. Sorry, I was jumping ahead. I'm freaking high. Let me touch on the card real quick. Just so we can go. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Double or Nothing. Yeah. They had like a 21 man casino battle royal is what they were calling. They had a lot of old guys, like big names. So they had Tommy Dreamer. They had Glacier in here. They had some AAA guys. They had the gay black guy, the one that wears like baby blue and pink. This was on the pre-show, so I don't know how many people caught this. I think they had a little bit on TNT right before they led into this. So Adam Page won. Adam Page seems to be someone they're kind of big on and maybe push. He gets a chance at the AEW World Championship. First match on the pay-per-view was Kip Sabian, Sammy Guevara. I don't know who any of these two guys are, but fantastic workers, very good chemistry together. Like I said, right off the bat, they hook you with a awesome match. Even if you don't know these guys, if you just pay a little bit of attention, you'll get hooked into the match. Great match. After that, they had a 6-man tag match, SoCal Uncensored, pretty popular in Ring of Honor. They took off. They're now there with All Elite. They took on the Strong Hearts, Chima, T-Hawk, and El Lindaman. I don't know too much about these guys, but this was I would say an average match for me. They because they were upstaged by the beginning match, if you ask me. After that, Fatal 4-Way for women. I don't know too much about these girls. Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Kylie Ray, and Awesome Kong. The big thing in this was Awesome Kong.
Awesome Kong,
Yeah.
is that
You got it from
yeah. Karma, right? Was she Karma back in WWF?
Yeah.
7-8 years ago?
Yep. A long time ago.
And she was Impact, right?
Yeah, Impact.
Yeah, okay.
WWE didn't know how to use her because she's not an hourglass figure. She's a big old brooding girl.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to use her, so she went off and got popular elsewhere. And it was a pop when she came out. It was like, holy shit, these guys got her. So, yeah. Like I said, I don't know too much about these girls. Brandy Rhodes came out and cut a promo. I forgot who she threw in as her. I think she threw in Awesome Kong as her, like, I don't know, her wrestler. Or as her representative. I don't know. It was weird. Then after that, it was best friends Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta versus Angelico and Jack Evans. Jack Evans and Angelico, I know them from Lucha Underground. I don't like them, but they're good workers. I just don't like. I think it's Jack Evans, yells a lot, very skinny guy. He's a good high flyer, good worker. I don't like the guy. What can I say? I can't like everybody. He dresses weird, like gloves, like all the way up to here. I don't know.
There are guys that all the time, like in WWF, they're like, "Oh, you gotta check this guy." I'm like, I've seen him. It does nothing for me. But this is like, I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Does nothing for me. I'm sorry.
He's popular. I know he's been popular, but best friends Chuck and Trent win this. I don't know these guys too much. Like I said, I only know the other guys from Lucha Underground from the couple seasons I saw. Next match was a 6-women tag team match. Again, I don't know too much about these women. It seems to be all Asian women. It was Hiru Shida and then Rihu Abbey and Ryu Mizunami taking on Aja Kong, Yuku Sasaki, or Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura. I don't know any of those girls. Sorry. I think Aja Kong is the only one I've kind of heard of, and Jeff really is the one that told me about her. That she's an older wrestler from before. She was moving really slow. She was really overweight. There were some botches in this match. Probably the worst match on the card. I don't know any of them. Just giving my honest opinion. Next match was Cody Rhodes taking on Dustin Rhodes, a brother versus brother match. They didn't really need to tell a story. The story was already there. They're brothers. They never really faced each other. Cody was Stardust. Dustin was Goldust. They never really liked their gimmicks, but they rolled with it their entire careers. They put on a fantastic match. Bloody as hell. And it sets up a tag team match with Cody and Dustin versus the Young Bucks. This was a 22-minute long match for a 50-year-old Dustin Rhodes put on.
I forget how old he is all the time. When I go, I see him putting on performances these days, and I forget that I watched him 25 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, fuck, he's been going at it for a long time, and still blading to this day. He's almost like the healthy version of Terry Funk.
Which we will see later on in our fucking WCW breakdown.
That's probably why that name came to mind. I didn't even think of that.
So Cody defeats his brother, tells him not to retire because he signed up for a match at the next pay-per-view where he left it open for a tag team partner and he wants his brother. And they have a really emotional moment, a good acting moment where Cody kind of like, he's like, I want my brother. It's kind of weak sauce though, but you know, I get what they were doing. They were selling it. I was sold on it. I have a brother.
And this is where they did the throne gimmick.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So great. Thanks for bringing it up.
That's one of that's honestly, it's so far that's one of the 3 or 4 things from the card that I've seen, so it stood out.
Dude, like it's so crazy because I forgot about that. Because I'm telling you, the wrestling in this pay-per-view, guys, if you guys like wrestling, go watch this pay-per-view. Like I said, maybe not that 6-women tag match, but Cody and his brother, fantastic match. The opening match between Kip and Sammy Guevara, fantastic match. And then the leading match into this, or the leading match, or the match after this, the co-main event, we had the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson, taking on the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon Jr. and Ray Fenix. I know Pentagon Jr. and Ray Fenix. I don't think that was his name. From Lucha Underground. I saw them in Lucha Underground when they were over there. They shared talent with AAA, so I think they went back to AAA. I don't think Lucha Underground exists anymore. I might be wrong on that. I stopped watching after season 3. But the Lucha Brothers, I believe, are AAA champions or the Young Bucks. I'm not sure. Nope. I think if I remember right, I think it was the Young Bucks that came in champions. Young Bucks retain their championships versus Pentagon Jr. and Ray Fenix. It was up in contention for one of the better matches up there. This one, Cody and his brother. Like I said, the Kip Sabian and Sammy Guevara match was really good. I don't know who the hell they are, but they gave them a 10-minute match to open up with, and especially being new guys, they knew what they were doing with that.
I feel like such a lost in the woods kind of guy.
Oh, dude,
because I hear like I've heard
I'm just in front of you trying to chop him down with the fucking machete. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about either.
You just remind me of fucking Uncle Joey so much there. No, I was gonna say I've heard the Young Bucks name tossed around for so many years about leaving New Japan and going to WWE back and forth, and I've still and I mean, shame on me, I admit, but I still yet to see them in action. And I feel like the way that it was Gallows and Anderson, when they went to WWE, the performances that they were putting on made me feel even worse. The fact that I still haven't seen the Young Bucks go, because I've heard that those guys put on some amazing matches over in Japan, and I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not checking out the Young Bucks yet. But I will be checking out on this card this weekend. So
nice.
I will pop my Young Bucks cherry by Sunday, hopefully.
Nice. They do a lot of crazy shit, a lot of innovative shit, and they like doing a lot of tag team moves together. A lot of flips, which people
Okay.
don't like. People want more wrestling, I guess, but this is what they do.
It's
Um,
art now, though.
yeah,
It's not the same as it was.
they're good at it, man. I've seen them live once. I went to a Ring of Honor show.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know what I was watching. At that time, Jesus was just like, "Hey, let's go to a Ring of Honor show." I'm like, "Cool, let's go." And they were there. Uh, yeah, but they're pretty badass. Let's get back to the card just so we can move on and get to the
Meat and potatoes.
the meat and potatoes. Spring to Stampede 2000. After that, we had Chris Jericho taking on Kenny Omega to see who was gonna face Hangman Page for the AEW World Championship, which was presented by none other than yours truly, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Man, Canada's own. I mean, Canada's favorite son. I can't really even say right now because Jericho and Omega are in the ring. I mean, I mean, I think that it's almost like the torch being passed through three generations: Bret Hart to Jericho, and then Jericho to Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's three different eras of just great Canadian wrestlers all in one shot, which is like, I don't know, it warms my heart when I saw that. When I saw Bret with the title, it's like that's the way it should be for those two guys to have a match and have Bret Hart coming out. That's how it should be.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, that's perfect for them. Both Canadian guys, best Canadian wrestler of all time, comes out and presents the strap. And I actually like the strap. I like how it looks. It looks like a mix between the UFC title, New Japan title, kind of like that. Maybe a little mix of the WCW big gold belt.
Yeah, that was what I thought. I almost thought like it's like the second place to the big gold belt because it was
Mm-hmm.
silver.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
that's what it kind of felt like to me.
yeah. It has a silver accents, just like the New Japan one. I
Right.
like the belt. So real quick, Chris Jericho defeats Kenny Omega. I'm not gonna touch too much on the match. I don't think this match was as good as their first match because this match had it knew where it was going, and I don't mean by like they knew who was going to win. I mean they had an ulterior motive to leading who was going to win this. So Chris Jericho wins, and John Moxley comes out and starts fighting with Chris Jericho, beats up Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho gets out of there, but Chris Jericho has a title match, so they can't do that feud. And Moxley's carrying off Omega, and then he turns on Omega and fucks him up on the chips because they have giant chips, all-in chips.
Oh, okay.
And so this, I believe this is going to set up Chris Jericho. Well, it sets up Chris Jericho versus Hangman Page, and this is going to set up Kenny Omega versus John Moxley. That's why it was still a very good match. I don't think it's as good as their first match that they had in New Japan, but that one was just for the title. That one was just to go at it. This one was more of a like I said, ulterior motive. Moxley, they were going to debut Moxley. It was like, let's get the win. This is for a later title shot. Moxley's big things today. So, last thing on AEW. Well, I like I said, I graded an A+, and they have some steps that they can do to really, really get them going forward and really stick it to WWE. They don't want to. They're their own thing. They got their own TV 14 thing. They want to do their own thing, and I wish them the best of luck, and I'm gonna support this as far as I can till it starts getting boring and shit like that. But to me, it's gonna be really, really shots fired, and shit's really, really gonna get going if in October here in Chicago at the Sears Center we get CM Punk. Then I'll believe AEW. Then I'm all in. Then I'm double or nothing.
And I've heard a lot of those rumors for a number of months that CM Punk's been in talks with them, but oh yeah, that would be the I don't want to say Hogan because that was seen.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this would be Hogan turning heel. Like it would be that kind of a pop if they kept it secret.
Yeah.
Nothing was signed, nothing was said. Rather, everything was signed under extreme closed doors, and it was this big pop that he comes out and does something massive. That yeah,
I'd shit my pants in the arena.
And you know what? I would not be surprised if you see CM Punk like Triple H meeting with him, basically saying like, "Here's $10 million a year. Here's the WWF
Yeah.
Championship. Here's the World Heavyweight
Dude,
Championship."
isn't that the
Like,
move?
that's like, I mean, Triple H has to go all in.
Yeah.
Like that's the funniest thing. For CM Punk, because I think CM Punk would sign for donuts with AEW just to get back at WWE.
Why not? Let's do
And
it.
because he doesn't necessarily need the money, so he could do them a favor by, cutting them a bit of a deal
Hmm.
and forcing WWE's hand to give him a bigger payday.
Yeah.
Which, why not?
Yeah. That'll be something crazy if that actually happens. My crazy idea, which is probably not my crazy idea. It's just
There's
that's
a
the
lot of rumors floating out there.
that's the majority of people's wishful thinking. They want
Yeah.
that to happen, not just mine. So that's Double or Nothing. Go ahead and check it out. Fantastic show. Their next one is Frighter Fest, June 29th, Daytona Beach, Florida, Ocean Center. Main event is to be announced. Is it them? Yeah, I think so. But it's gonna be all out here in Hoffman Estates Sears Center.
Yeah, and to give like another like ringing endorsement for the show, like Jeff, who has gone on the record and saying he watches wrestling once a year and it's only WrestleMania and it's just for the extravaganza of it all. He was telling me a lot about how amazing this card was. So for him to like get into something like that tells me that it had to have been good product, because he's said numerous times how much he's been turned off of pro wrestling because of where WWE's gone in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to say like, "Yeah, this card, you got to watch this card," that tells me that it's well worth the watch.
Definitely. Do you want to get into the card, Ryan? The WCW Spring Stampede 2000.
New Blood versus the Millionaires Club.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I want to apologize to everyone on behalf of Chicago for Mancow. This wasn't even the first match, but I need to get to it right away. I want to apologize, Ryan. I want to apologize to everyone else for what they did. It was uncalled for. I was sick to my stomach. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say. I was kind of left speechless at this. It was super stupid. I don't know if they were. I know what they were trying to do, but it was dumb.
Was there any actual, because like I've gone on record 100 times over of not being the biggest WCW guy, and they didn't really have too much of like the background. I think because they're trying to cram so many matches into this card. So I know like the gist of why the card was what it was,
Mm-hmm.
but this match to me made like I don't it. You know when they say something will set like Ngannou and Derek Lewis, it set heavyweight fighting back 5 years.
Yeah.
This kind of set wrestling back like 25 years. Like this was
Yeah.
even like this was bad. Like it didn't even serve a purpose. Like Jimmy Hart, like what's Jimmy Hart doing in there? Like
Why would he attack Mancow? Why bring Mancow into this? Because they were in Chicago. Like
yeah,
okay, I get it. They're in Chicago. Mancow was the shit at the time, but it's just stupid. So Jimmy Hart fucks up his eye, and Mancow is going to get revenge. It's stupid as shit. It's a dumb match, and its only purpose really was so Billy Kidman could beat up Jimmy Hart in order to entice Hogan to come to the pay-per-view. That's it. That's what it was for.
yeah.
It was complete garbage. And that wasn't even the beginning of the match. I just wanted to start off by saying I apologize for this.
They could have done it so many different ways where and we'll get to the match in a few minutes, but during Kidman's match, you could have Jimmy Hart maybe starting down towards the ring, like giving the hint that Hogan's there, have Kidman jump him, and then boom, roll into where you end up bringing the end of that match. You could easily have done that, and it would make a whole lot more sense than this.
Nah, we need a complete match between Old
Okay.
bone arms man cow with zero athleticism versus super old Jimmy Hart with even less athleticism.
I love how you call it a whole match when it didn't even break 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
Well,
It's
for
like
them,
if
that's
that,
a whole match.
yeah, but you know what's funny? Like if that was a song, it wouldn't even be considered a single on the
Yeah,
radio.
yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, so those
Uh,
people that don't know who I. My cousin used to listen to Man Cow, and I used to hang out with my cousin all the time. And it was it was a stupid show. Now that I look back on it, he had Al Roker Jr. I guess making fun of Al Roker.
yeah.
He had Turd, just some guy named Turd.
This was
Um,
basically like the Howard Stern ripoff,
yeah,
basically, right? Like
exactly.
that's
This
all
is
it was.
Chicago's Howard Stern, 100%,
Right.
and it was horrible. I heard the guy's a complete asshole from multiple comics that I've heard on like Opie and Anthony and their own podcast. Whenever Mancow's brought up, they always speak of him in the low light and how he would mute people's mics, how he's the only one that wanted to be talking, how his mic would be higher than yours. He's a fucking cocksucker.
Ugh.
So yeah, I've only heard bad things about him, but yeah. So top of the card. Um, so all the titles are stripped. I don't know why. We have a gimmick going into this. It's a new blood gimmick versus the Millionaires Club gimmick.
Yeah, so this if there was a Nitro where it was announced that Vince Russo was jumping on board, and this was a point when Bischoff wasn't he was on leave for whatever reason. So I think I forget the exact storyline. I've heard him talk about it. But either he was on vacation in France and it was supposed to be some kind of storyline where he was like fired or something. But they bring in Vince Russo and out comes Bischoff, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck!" And like they had all the wrestlers, all everyone's there, and he said, "We're starting a brand new era. We're gonna have no champions, and we're gonna crown them all new." And during this segment, there were guys missing like DDP, Lex Luger, Ric Flair, Hogan, Sting, Nash, and these guys were going off insulting them. Uh, and then it was found out that Russo and Bischoff were working together, and they were going to form this new blood, get rid of the old boys, the Millionaires Club, get rid of them all, and reset WCW from the ground up, starting with Spring Stampede. And that's where the essentially that's where this they did some matches to determine who would be on the pay-per-view, and then it takes off from here.
And I love that you picked this pay per view, Ryan, just so we can see the fuckery that this. This just goes to show you how fucked up Vince Russo's ideas were, how stupid his creative was, how eager he was to inject himself into storyline after storyline where he didn't make sense. It wasn't even original. This
No,
new blood thing was him as a version of Hogan and Sting, calling himself the Batman, playing Vince. So he's Vince McMahon, he's Hogan, and he's Sting. That's what Vince Russo was.
and you go. Jeff has put me onto a good podcast, something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard,
Mm-hmm.
and anytime they have a really weird storyline or a really bad match or a really bad promo, it all connects to Vince Russo. And so when Vince Russo talks about um, his storylines were DX and the Nation and Austin McMahon and all these things, he was a part of that crew. He was not the creative
Mm-hmm.
guy. He was on board and he became the biggest name because he put out the most content, but he was running with a so when you hear everyone say Vince Russo is responsible for the Attitude Era in WWF blowing up and everything like that, that's only the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more people that did the work for him. So you saw what happened when he was given full creative control. This storyline alone was just like, hey, really?
Yeah,
Like,
it
this is
was.
what we're doing?
So he had like we mentioned, he had his new blood thing, and for some reason Billy Kidman was like the lead guy of that. I think he was the lead of that because Hogan at that time was he had in like some interview or something he had thrown heat on Billy Kidman, but in real life. So what they did is they were trying to incorporate it into WCW's a gimmick for WCW, which in reality didn't really make sense. Kidman was a great cruiserweight champion. That's about it. I'd never go further than that. I'd never even put him in like a great tag team that he was in. Like he was in good tag teams, but never like, oh yeah, he's the tag team champion guy. No, he was the cruiserweight champion guy.
He could put on a lot of like tons of great matches, but his promos were so bad.
He was,
And the only
yeah.
reason why he got so much TV time, there was two reasons, and they're Tori Wilson. Like that's the only reason why he was on TV as much as he was. You can call me a sexist pig all you want, but
well, you have to call me one too.
Let's be real. That's 100% what they were going for.
Because I'm like, damn, Ryan beat me to it. I was gonna say the exact same thing. Like that's
that's
the only
it.
reason he was he was where he was at. They're like, oh well, there's this shitty feud between these guys. How about we throw him in there because he's got Tori Wilson, so the people want to watch.
Yeah.
People did not want to watch. This New Blood versus Millionaires Club lasted 3-4 months.
Too long.
Yeah, too long. Didn't go anywhere, and let's get to it. So
Yeah.
the first match was a triple threat tag team match for the WCW Tag Team Tournament, which would lead into the championships. This was a semifinal match. It was Ric Flair and the Total Package with Miss Elizabeth taking on the Harris Brothers and the Mamalukes. This was a 4-on-2 match.
Yeah. Almost 5-on-2. I think was it Russo was involved or no Disco.
Disco Inferno was part of
Disco
the Mamalukes.
Yeah, so he was involved too. So yeah,
yeah.
And Ric Flair was nowhere to be seen half the match. Like
he was wearing regular gear. Like no,
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
he was wearing regular clothes. Sorry, not even regular
I
gear.
honestly, when I first saw this, I thought the Total Package was like Team Madness when Macho Man had his stable of like girls and Sid with him. I thought the Total Package was Lex with his like advisor Ric Flair and Miss. I didn't realize that Total Package is what he was actually going by, and he had a tag team partner who just wasn't fighting.
Yep.
Like it was so weird.
Yeah. I don't know who the Harris Brothers were.
We've talked with them in WWF.
Are they from DOA?
DOA. They were 8 Ball and Chains or Skull. Two of those three.
I thought they looked familiar. I just didn't look them up because they were kind of like jobbers in this.
They did a lot of work. They did a lot of work in the early to mid '90s before DOA came, and then they were.
Okay, I guess they just used their regular names here. Yeah, because they were from Disciples of Apocalypse, the Grimm Twins, the Harris Boys, the Harris Brothers, the Harris Twins, the Bruise Brothers, the Blue Brothers.
Creative that's right, Jacob and Eli Blue from WrestleMania 11. Sorry.
Yeah, so
I think I've told you this. I don't know if I said it on the show, but the Mamalukes, if those guys were in WWF 2 years prior, they would have been so over. They had good chemistry. They were pretty decent in the ring, and they had that gimmick that really worked. That Italian American, like they would have fit so well in fights with the Nation and DX and the Headbangers and Too Cool. A lot of those tag teams in the Attitude Era, they would have fit in so perfectly. Yeah. I feel like when I saw this, I so mad that I didn't get to see them fighting like in a better promotion because I feel like they could have been they've had much better exposure.
WCW had some good tag teams, but the Mamalukes weren't used. They were the jobber tag team here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they got jobbed out 6 minutes 11 seconds. Russo gets mad at them in the back and chastises them. They take off like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah.
And then after that, we have the horrible match, which we could brush over.
We can just skip that.
Yeah, we already talked about it. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Mancow, Jimmy Hart. Mancow wins. Next after that, we had Scott Steiner versus The Wall for a spot in the quarterfinals of the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. I like how they added heavyweight. They kept the heavyweight in there.
Yeah, they had to make sure they need to justify that it is a big title.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure who The Wall was. I guess I could look him up.
He was the bodyguard for Alex Wright when Alex Wright had that change to that
the Aryan Brotherhood or no, he was like a German fucking
German, like almost like a techno weirdo with like the dark glasses and then yeah, so he began becoming almost like like a Diesel to Shawn Michaels. He was the bodyguard that ends up becoming the wrestler, and I think the Wall actually had a quick deal with Hogan right before WCW died. But yeah, this was the I don't know, like this was the regular Scott Steiner match to me.
Yeah, nothing too nothing too much. We're gonna see a lot more of him. It was only 4 minute match, and they make it to the outside where there's a table, and Scott Steiner's gonna put. No, I don't know what's really going on.
They
Someone's trying to
were
put through. Someone's trying to
they
put
they
someone through
were
the table.
battling. They were
Yeah,
battling, and
the
it was
wall.
gonna be a choke slam, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Scott Steiner, yeah,
yeah.
he gouged his eyes,
Scott Steiner
and then
gouged
he
his
and
eye.
he holds the referee in front of him,
Hmm.
and the Wall. The referee took a hell of a bump in this one.
Yeah,
He was like he got folded right in half.
yeah.
Like someone did his yoga that morning.
So we get a second ref comes in and calls the match because of that. Scott Steiner moves on, advances in the tournament. After that, we had Mike Awesome taking on Ernest Miller in advancing in the United States Heavyweight Championship match. Before this, there was a quick promo where Awesome beats up Bam Bam in the back. Awesome is super awkward. I don't know what he's doing. He's going like this. He's doing something weird.
Mike
Cuts up.
Awesome's another guy never should have went to WCW.
Yeah, so
He should
he's an
he should have
ECW guy.
stayed an ECW guy.
He turns into that '70s guy or something like that.
and then the
chick.
fat lady,
Yeah,
the fat chick Thriller.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
god damn it! Fuck you, Vince Russo.
Yeah, so Mike Awesome takes on Ernest the Cat Miller, advances. After that, we have Shane Douglas taking on Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell, Buff the Stuff, taking on Harlem Heat 2000. So, if you guys don't know what Harlem Heat 2000 is, it's Stevie Ray and
Oh, we talked about Ahmed Johnson?
Ahmed Johnson. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Okay, I remember. Okay,
Big T is Ahmed Johnson from the WWF. He couldn't carry over his name. That's not his real name. So he
I
used
missed the
Big T.
intro to this. I
He's
was
Big
running
T.
around. And when I came out and I saw it, I remember we talked about this, and I wanted to bring it up to when I was watching it, but I completely forgot that we had talked that he was in Harlem Heat, and when you had told me that Stevie Ray went to NWO, and then they kind of Booker T stayed single the whole time, and Ahmed Johnson joins Harlem Heat.
This is why I love doing it, Ryan. So like now I get to clarify my timeline out too.
Yeah, and I'm watching this, and didn't even. I guess it's one of those things I didn't recognize it was Harlem Heat until just now. Sorry, I just had like a massive brain fart.
But that I get to see or remember how Harlem Heat 2000 was formed because Stevie Ray is no longer in the NWO because the NWO doesn't seem to exist at this time. Because they will bring back the NWO 2000, like the NWO in like silver lettering with Jeff Jarrett being the leader.
And Bret Hart, and that's
Like,
poor Bret.
We don't have to talk about that. We don't have to talk about that now. Maybe if when we get into it,
we'll get there one day.
Yeah, we'll get there one day. But yeah. So Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell taking on Harlem Heat. This was a pretty badass match. Stevie Ray's a good worker. Ahmed Johnson's a good worker. Buff Bagwell, good worker. Nothing too great. Nothing too crazy.
He draws good heat, and he can take a beating.
He's a good heel.
He does the perfect job to take the.
He does his move, calls the attention.
He's almost like I was gonna say a poor man's, but he's less. He's like a trailer park version of Ric Flair, where he can draw the heat to him, take all the punishment you give him, and if you need him to win, they'll give him a good finish, and he can make it work. But he's never gonna be a top guy by any stretch.
Yeah, 100%. But
and just one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know what you thought, but you know, in the mid 2000s when WWF was doing a lot more singles competitors as tag team champions, just like kind of throwing guys together just because they had tag team titles, but they didn't have tag teams. Seeing Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell, like, you had Buff and Scott Steiner, like, keep those guys together, like, they were so good. But even Buff and Lex Luger, like, these guys had tag teams before that were so good, and you're splitting them up for Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell, like, it does nothing to me.
a year before this, me and Jeff just went over Living Dangerously '99. Go ahead and check that out. Just did that one with Jeff. Shane Douglas was putting up his boots as the franchise and passing on the torch to Tommy Dreamer. It's funny to see him in WCW a year later. He hits his I forget what it's called, his move, but it's like a suplex where it's almost like a perfect plex where he holds it. He holds a leg.
Like a fisherman suplex kind of thing. Yeah.
Holds a leg and gets the pin. That's what he hits on Stevie Ray, I think, because what's his name? Big T's way too big to be taking one of those. He
Which
gained
is
a lot
kind
of
of
weight.
I was gonna say it's kind of funny that you're saying the Stevie Ray is the smaller. It's like Stevie Ray's a big boy. To say he was small enough to take that over Big T, that says something.
Here, so everyone knows Booker T. If you guys don't know who Stevie Ray is his older brother that is bigger than Booker T, considerably bigger.
Legit, not just like storyline, like the like legit blood.
Yeah, and then Ahmed Johnson is considerably bigger than fucking goddamn Stevie Ray. Like not even like just in muscular size too, but then he's a little bit fatter too.
Yeah, he got big after those WWF days.
Yeah, it's funny. It's a gradual fucking transition. If you see it's evolutions. It's Booker T evolves into Stevie Ray evolves into Ahmed Johnson,
who then becomes Big E.
Yeah, who then becomes
there we go.
Yeah, it could be. No, I think these guys are a lot taller than Big E. Big E's huge, but I don't think he's tall at all.
Big E's short, yeah. Well, shorter, I should say, not short.
He's wide though. He's strong as fuck.
He's like a brick turned sideways. It's like.
Let's see. So yeah, Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell move on. Short match, tournament matches, so they were going to be quick.
Yeah, it's like I was saying to you before we hit record. This almost reminded me so much of WrestleMania 4 with the tournament for the heavyweight championship, where you get so excited. It's like, oh fuck, like 16 matches, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then they're all 4 minutes long, and you're like, oh, we could have had so much more if there was less matches.
Yeah. The next match we had Sting versus Booker T, an awesome match for the advancement in the quarterfinals of the tournament for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship. We got a little bit longer of a match just because these two guys are really good workers. Booker is winning most of the match against Sting. Sting winds up reversing a suplex that Booker T's trying to give to him and reverses into a Scorpion Deathlock or Death Drop, or I think it is. That's what it's called.
Scorpion Death Drop. Yeah, the Deathlock with the sharpshooter.
Yeah. And he gets the pin. Pretty good match. They don't it's a tournament match, so they had less than 7 minutes to work here.
And this is why I hated Jimmy Hart Mancow. You take those 3 minutes, you take the intros and the outro little segments, and you give these guys an extra 4 minutes, and this is the match of the card. Yeah. Hands like they had. This match had so much potential. It looked like so much fun, like almost like that DDP Savage match. There's Sting and Savage that we covered a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
This match had like the same style potential, but WCW still found a way to shoot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, they with this whole tournament thing, because like you said, they put Mancow on this guy. There's no time in this. We had Booker exerting his offense, and then we had Sting making a comeback, but getting the finish off of a reversal right away because of time constraints. We needed the buildup of Sting and maybe another comeback of Booker, and then Sting gets it on the other one to make it like a nice 15-minute match.
You could easily see like we've seen Sting hit the death lock from so many different angles that you could easily see him getting like hit in a weird way going down, and when Booker's gonna hit that axe handle kick, or I think it is, you could see Sting somehow maybe reversing it into a death lock, or reversing maybe like even a missile drop kick into a death lock.
Yeah,
like there are so many different ways that this match could have went, but time constraints, like you said, just so that we could have like just garbage sprinkled in here, like.
All the kiddos.
Oh, there we go. Give it 5 minutes and they'll be in here.
Nice. It's all good. It's a nice visit from the kiddos. Sting advances in the tournament quarterfinal match. Next match we have Vampiro taking on Billy Kidman with Tori Wilson. Can't forget about that. They give these guys an awfully long match, in my opinion. You should have shaved some time off of this match.
But it's
Um,
Billy Kidman.
yeah,
He's the future.
they're pushing Billy Kidman hard. Hogan comes in, beats the shit out of Billy Kidman, puts him through a table, and for some reason that's allowed, and the ref isn't gonna do anything about it. And yeah, he lets Hogan throw him back in, stand on the apron, and give Vampiro the win.
Yeah, this was a throwaway match for me, and I get that they're trying to promote their new blood, and they're trying to promote Billy Kidman as being this big angle with Hogan going forward. This match, I don't know, I could take it or leave it. It did nothing overall for me.
No, it didn't. I guess it pushed Hogan versus or Hogan, yeah, Hogan Kidman. I guess that's what they were trying to push. But what it really led to was a really crazy segment where Hogan goes to the back. He's trying to get it at Eric Bischoff. Russo's like, calm down, calm down. Finally, Hogan breaks into the room that they're in, makes his way towards Bischoff, and then cops come in, pull their guns on Hogan, and Hogan cowers into a couch, and that I think that's the last we saw of it. They go away or something. They go to the
Yeah,
next match.
he gets taken away. That's about it.
Yeah, it was super fucking weird.
It like
I don't know. Russo's,
this is where you're seeing the demise of WCW.
yeah.
Like that you go from like that whole man cow debacle in this match, and you take a look at they're the old gentleman, not the old gentleman's club. It sounds like a stripper, strip joint. They're the millionaires club. You know
Diamonds.
yeah these guys though, they're a reason why they're the millionaires club, because they are the established stars. Like, don't tear these guys down, use them with the young talent. Like, Vince Russo went about this the wrong way. Like, Hogan could have had a better impact in this match, or sorry, again in this pay-per-view, rather, not the match.
Yeah, they could have done. This is slowly the crumbling of the company. It won't last over a year. This slowly leads into. We don't have to talk about it too much if you don't want the. Well, I guess there's really a lot to talk about. This leads to the Vince Russo and fucking Hogan breaking kayfabe live at Bash at the Beach on a pay-per-view. Hogan is supposed to he's supposed to put over Jeff Jarrett, who's WCW champion. Hogan doesn't want to, so Hogan refuses to. So they come in. Jeff Jarrett literally just lays down. Hogan's like, what the fuck? Puts his leg on him, gets the pin, grabs the mic, and says that this is why WCW is going down the shithole. And he blames Russo. He pretty much calls out Russo and leaves. And then Russo comes out, shits on Hogan, says Hogan's never going to work in WCW again, and makes a match later on between Sting and Booker T. I think that at that Bash at the Beach.
Okay, that's like a couple months away from here.
Yeah, that's like
a month away.
It's in June or July, so it's like 1 or 2 months later.
Right.
Then Vince Russo and Hogan's thing it comes to a boil, and they pretty much drop the New Blood versus the Millionaires Club feud that they started and killed right away, and it made no sense. New Blood was spray painting people like the NWO. We were on the Sting Booker T match, right? We didn't even get past that, right?
No, we moved on to Vampiro.
Oh, okay.
And then just finished the Vampiro Kidman. That was 11. Yeah. We're on to the
next match. Yeah, the next match after that was for the vacant Hardcore Championship. So we have Terry Funk looking for Norman Smiley.
Norman Smiley.
In Francis.
No, I just remember him coming out, and that's how he demanded they were going to announce say his name for like, I don't know. I don't even know how long it lasted. It was just like a weird gimmick he
I
had.
think here he was screaming Norman Smiley or Norman. I don't know what he was because it used to be smiling Norman Smiley.
He went through like so many like random changes in 2 years. 'Cause I remember like when he blew up to when he just disappeared.
He was a fan favorite.
Uh his hardcore like, this match here, the hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago Cubs comes out
Yeah,
or in
umpire.
Chicago comes out
Yeah.
in the Cubs as the catcher. I
Hiding in
remember
the bathroom.
he would come out in football gear if he was in a big football city. He would always have a hardcore match, and he would always come decked out like hockey equipment. He would always be ready for protection. Like like it was
Hardcore
he was
match,
the
bro.
he was the comic relief. Like the guy you wouldn't expect in a hardcore match. So he's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, fuck, I got to protect myself.
Yeah.
Like he made it work. Like
So they have him. They have old ass Terry Funk find him in the bathroom,
and
and
how
we.
was it? Last time we covered Terry Funk was a pay per view from like 3 years earlier, which is to say that he's still going after all that shit.
Yeah,
Like, Christ Almighty, that guy.
it was him versus the Outlaws, I think, right in one of the WrestleManias,
Yeah,
something like
that,
that.
that dumpster match.
Yeah. So Dustin Rhodes makes his way into the match, like part of the Young Millionaires Club, I guess. They interject him into there. Doesn't really matter. They make their way to the ring. That's when Dustin interferes or makes his way into the match, which is funny to see him as Dustin Rhodes, and then now at 50, we saw him at AEW.
Yeah,
It's pretty.
that's wild, eh?
Yeah, yeah. And so Terry Funk wins. He literally grabs the ladder and slams it on Norman Smiley on the outside. Gets the pin 1, 2, 3, and Dustin Rhodes gets reprimanded in the back by I think it was Russo. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was Russo. But Dustin Rhodes, you can tell he's got a fat ass lip, like really nasty from taking some kind of hit in the match. The next match after that was Scott Steiner taking on Mike Awesome for the tournament semifinal match. This one was a super quick match. I thought they would get longer as the tournament advanced, but nah, this was super quick.
Yeah,
Uh,
normally like these tournament matches, it either goes the deeper you go, the longer the matches are because you're more elite and you've taken less time to beat your guys, so you have energy, or you start off with long matches and they get gradually shorter because of all the punishment you've taken. But in these matches, these guys take little to no punishment, and the matches still stay same time. Like I'm just gonna end up complaining too much. I feel like I shouldn't be analyzing this too deeply. I'm getting angry just
no,
thinking
no,
about
no,
it.
dude. They gave us fucking Man Cow versus Jimmy Hart, and they
It's one of those things where I was so excited to see these matches, and when they were over so quick, I'm like, fuck. Like at least have say like Scott Steiner gets a bye to the final, and Mike Awesome and Ernest the Cat Miller are battling, and Bam Bam Bigelow steps in and lays them both out. You know what I mean? Like you can work these storylines in such a different way than just you don't have to have every competitor go match to match to match to match and try and cram it all in. You can tell a lot more by doing a lot less. Like this is Vince Russo just trying to figure out how can I get these guys over by having them win matches, as opposed to how can I get these guys over and draw heat or draw sympathy from the crowd. And he just didn't know how to do it. And I don't know if it's poor writing. Maybe everyone's right, or maybe it's just new talent. Maybe he's not used to working with WCW guys. Maybe Hogan and Nash and those guys are saying that we're not doing that, and that's that. Like they're
maybe.
like, who knows? But like they just consistently miss the mark in this pay per view, and it's so frustrating because you see matches that have potential to be really fun. Like The Wall and Scott Steiner can take a lot of punishment. Mike Awesome and Scott Steiner can take a lot of punishment, but you're wrapping them up in under 4 minutes, and then you're giving Billy Kidman and Vampiro close to 10 minutes. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then you have Mancow wasting everyone's time for 5 minutes. Like, it might not seem like a lot of time in the real world, but in a wrestling pay per view for storylines, 5 minutes is so crucial. You can build so much. You can have a year's worth of writing done in 5 minutes in the ring at a pay per view. and they just consistently miss the mark on this one.
Yeah. Nash comes out, hits Mike Awesome in the back with a crutch. Scott Steiner puts on the Steiner recliner. That's the end of that chapter. 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Super short match. The next match after that was Vampiro taking on Sting. Vampiro advancing from taking on Billy Kidman. And that crazy fucking bullshit of Hogan coming in,
Land him out.
Yeah, for no reason. Well, not for no reason, but
Yeah.
not getting reprimanded for interjecting himself in the match for some reason. It's a hardcore match now. Or no rules.
Well, they're all no rules matches in WCW.
Especially with Russo there.
Yeah.
Hey, we should do one of those to really pick a shitty one. I don't know if you know this. They did like a 3 stages of hell thing where
that's where David Arquette won, right? Or a style like that.
I don't know if that's the one where he won, but
Vince Russo wins one though.
Yeah, I think he won. He's in one of them. I know
he has. Sure. I have that one on Nitro, on my best of Nitro.
Yeah.
So I would love to just break down that shit show.
Yeah, just the concept of that match is ridiculous.
That there's an hour and a half in itself, and just like, what are you thinking?
Yeah. So yeah, Scott Steiner advances. The semifinal match after that, we have like I said, Vampiro Sting. This one is a little bit longer of a match.
How sad is it that this one went just under 6 minutes, and you're like, it's a bit longer.
Yeah, it's a bit longer than the other ones. They did a little bit of outside work, a little bit of inside work, mostly Sting. No, it was more back and forth, I guess. The first match, Booker T kind of was beating the crap out of Sting, and then Sting got the reversal, landed his move, and got the pin. This one was a little bit more back and forth. They were doing their shit outside. Sting gets a Scorpion Deathlock. Instantly, Vampiro submits. We all knew that was going to happen.
I didn't see a lot of Vampiro, but this match with Sting kind of makes me want to see more. Mm-hmm. This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, with instead of having New Blood and Millionaires Club, have just the veterans and the new guys work together.
Yeah.
Because you can get a lot of awesome matches out of it. I think if you got rid of the quarterfinals of the US and just had semifinals and stretch it out, I think Sting and Vampiro could have put on a badass match for 15 to 18 minutes. I think they could have really told a good story. Mm-hmm. I think their styles worked well together. I think their gimmicks are similar enough that you can draw like some rough outside the ring action and really make them work harder out there. I feel like I want to try and go back and see if I can find some more Vampiro. I don't know. I can't imagine it'd be very easy because he wasn't like that big superstar kind of guy. Like I could see him doing a lot of mid card stuff.
Yeah, he came towards the end.
And I think he was also did like a storyline with Rick's kid. Was it Reed?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he did a storyline with Reed at one point, and it was a Daphne, that psycho kind of girl, that crazy laugh. I remember her. But I need to go back and I need to see some more Vampiro because I really liked him in this particular match. I really saw like potential of a good wrestler in this.
Yeah, and then so we go from a badass match to a break in the show. If you want to go buy popcorn, go take a dump, here's your chance. They have a 6-way match for the Cruiserweight Championship. The only guy I really know is Shannon Moore. I don't know what his name was here, but his name was, I guess they have Shane Helms as well, I guess.
What do you mean the only name? Juventud.
Oh, Juventud.
Hey, Chris Candido?
I don't know about that. I don't know about Chris Candido.
You know Chris Candido?
Who's Chris Candido?
He was Skip from the Body Donnas in WWF in the mid 90s with Sonny. They were like, this was Sonny's husband.
Okay, back when that's Sonny why she's there.
Back when Sonny was passed around the locker room.
Okay.
Like a finely rolled joint, I should say. So that's why he was kept along in every organization he went to, basically, so Sonny would stay. But he has a lot of good like ECW and independent matches. He's a good worker. Tragically died a few years back. He had surgery, recovered, but when from recovery from surgery, he had a blood clot and he died, unfortunately. But he was a really good worker that just he couldn't get out of the shadow of Sunny in a weird way.
Just blowing everyone. That's why.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, keep Sunny, lose
Yeah.
Skip.
But yeah, like I said, for me there wasn't a lot of good names because they had such a rich cruiserweight division, such good names back in the day, but they all realized they weren't getting the respect they deserved, and now they were all in WWF at this time. All of them.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, they all took off. And this is what they had left. Juventud probably should have won this match. Chris Candido wins with the help of Tammy. She comes in and interferes. Short match, a 5-minute and 12-second match for a 6-way. It doesn't make any sense.
You have more men than minutes in the match. It's
Yes.
like, what do you come on, like, and this and I ad nauseum, they're not making the most of what they have.
Mm-mm.
I mean, even like we have the WCW Rock and the artist formerly known as Prince Iokea. Like, you had a guy who might not be a best worker, but he was entertaining.
Yeah.
And you're just like shoveling him aside. They wanted to get too many titles on the New Blood in one night.
Mm-hmm.
They could have done it on the Nitro beforehand. They could have done this match and maybe the hardcore match and erased half an hour if you wanted to. But
or like you said, get rid of the quarterfinals, have them on the Nitro before, and then it just leads into the semifinal matches and then the final.
Yeah.
But then Russo's running the show, so we got what we got.
I wonder what this could have been if they had the WWE's 7-hour WrestleMania time slot. If they were given like 4 hours instead of 3, I wonder how different this pay-per-view would have been.
No, Ryan, please no.
Well,
no one wants to. I don't want to sit through 7 hours of WWE. Imagine sitting through 7 hours of WCW in 2000.
I said 3 to 4.
Okay.
Mancow still gets 2 minutes, but everyone else gets it. Actually, we're gonna take a minute and a half off of Mancow. We're gonna give the rest to everyone else.
Just leave him off the fucking show.
No, but my thought watching this match took me back to WrestleMania 20 when WWE did this. I don't even know if it was like 10, 12, 14 guys for the Cruiserweight title, but it was one-on-one. And after each pinfall, the next guy would come in. So we always had a one-on-one matchup. And it worked so well. And then I see something where you have a cluster of guys done by writers who don't know how to write. And it's like, ugh, like, I wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we gave these guys enough time. I don't like them.
I think we talked more than the match went.
Yes. WCW didn't even like them. They gave them 5 minutes. Shit match. Like I said, Chris Candido wins Cruiserweight Championship. Next match after that was Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell with Vince Russo taking on Ric Flair in the total package for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. This was maybe like a C match, average match. We don't have too many phenomenal workers. Ric Flair's old. Lex Luger's old.
Old, yeah.
Shane Douglas, old. And Buff Bagwell, not the best of workers.
Yeah, and this also goes to my point earlier about putting singles guys together. Mm-hmm. You have 4 singles wrestlers in a tag team match. Now, if you had put guys who had worked as a team together, and like, you're gonna try and tell me that there's no one in the New Blood that worked together, and no one in the Millionaires Club that worked together that could have joined forces. Lex Luger, Nash was hurt, but I mean, still, Nash was one of these guys. Like, there's just so much potential in these kind of matches. But they're not booking them right. They're just trying to get the names out there as opposed to the talent.
And I think it's because everyone was jumping ship, man. And then shitty writers with less talent. They just
And it's a shame too, because like I said about the first match of Total Package, I thought that Flair was part of the Total Package. Mm-hmm. Why not have Lex Luger and somebody else with Ric Flair and Elizabeth? Like, you could do something, and why not put Buff Bagwell with Luger? Like Shane Douglas, how is Shane Douglas in the New Blood? First of all,
Super old, but his new blood.
Shane Douglas might be older than. I'm not even gonna
I
like.
I guess the only reason I can see why is because he, while in
He's
WCW and everywhere else, he always cut promos on everyone else's top guys, and this was a building feud
yeah.
over years between him and Flair, even though there wasn't really a feud. Well,
It was just jealousy.
yeah, it was built on Shane Douglas's side, not really on Ric Flair's side. But
Yeah, and it's too bad because these guys are all good workers on their
Mhm.
own. I mean, Buff Bagwell with the right tag team partner is a good performer,
Shane Douglas was the franchise for ECW.
and there's a reason why. Like he like Shane Douglas in ECW was so good,
Hmm.
and he got no respect in WWF, and he got no respect in WCW. I mean, he gets this push now, but it's because of the storyline. If they didn't have the storyline, he would have just been he probably would have been part of the Millionaires Club, or he would have been just a mid card guy who fell into another
Yeah,
category.
and we're not contradicting ourselves. This match itself, it wasn't a tag team level match. It was like Ryan mentioned, it was singles guys in a tag team match doing their thing, not being a tag team and using tag team moves. That's why I don't
Yeah,
rank it as high as it's there. Shane Douglas, good worker, old. Ric Flair, good worker, old. Total Package, good worker, old.
yeah,
Buff
that's
Bagwell.
that's it.
It's just they're all singles guys in. They're all old singles guys thrown into a tag team, but they're all doing singles stuff. They're not really doing tag team moves, so that's why I'm not contradicting myself. It's just it wasn't a badass tag team match. It was an average match for the tag team championships.
And look at what WWF, who a few years down the road would become this tag team division. Look at what they're putting out at WrestleMania 2000. Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys,
Hmm.
uh, Dudleys. Also, they still had LOD 2000. They had the New Age Outlaws. They had members of the Nation that could intertag. They had Kai and Tai. They had just they had like a if you a wrestling fan's wet dream of a tag team division.
Hmm.
And then you go to WCW and you're watching this and you're like, oh, WWF could never do this.
How are they ever ahead in the ratings?
Yeah, yeah. And then like if you weren't into a coma after watching this pay-per-view and thought, oh, WWF would never fall to that, you wake up in 2007, you're like, oh God,
Mm.
Vince Russo's back in WWF.
Well, everyone left in 2007.
Nah, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like it's such a shame that the tag team division, which was a stalwart in NWA, WCW, WWF, like all across every territory, that there was always amazing tag teams.
Hmm.
And for this, now we're getting random guys. Just everyone just go out there, do your main move, get your main pop, and we'll call it a night.
Yeah,
It's like ugh.
yeah. After this, we had the final for the WCW United States Heavyweight Championship between Scott Steiner and Sting. Yeah, for dude, like you said, they just they didn't know how to execute what they had.
And I think again, it's trying to cram too much into too little of a time frame. Like that, the way that the match ends. So Sting hits the splash, Vampiro drags him in underneath the ring, and where's Sting? Where's Sting? And he's able-bodied enough to pull himself up. Or no, sorry, I'm lying. I'm lying. Vampiro pulls him up, and he's got blood coming out of the corner of his mouth. Oh my God! What did he? Look at him. He's disheveled. Like, he has a little blood trickling. Like
Yeah,
it looks like he bit into it. It looks like he was trying to eat one of those Kool-Aid packages without mixing the water in it. Like that's all it looked like. And then, okay, he puts him in the Steiner Clanner, and like that's what we're doing for the U.S. title, your most prestigious title after the big gold belt. That's what you're doing, like, and it's just so frustrating. Like, just have like an interference. Then don't pull him underneath the ring. Just have Vampiro come in and betray Sting. Like after that amazing matchup, have them show ultimate respect. And then Vampiro comes out when Sting's maybe being beaten down by Steiner and someone else from the New Blood. Vampiro comes down NWO style and clocks Sting. Steiner gets the ref 1, 2, 3. It's over. don't have him pull him into the ring,
No,
and
we
then
had to
he
do Undertaker Diesel.
that never
19.
happened. Didn't you? No, on the pay per view they said this is unprecedented and this has never happened before in professional wrestling. I'm like, this has happened in WWF like 17 times by now. Like, what are we talking about, man? Get out of
It's
here.
like when they break the ring. It's like, oh my god, the ring has never been broken, except those
Yeah,
3 previous times that we've done it before.
yeah. It's like, what do we like? Oh, it's just so frustrating to see like guys like Sting get treated this way.
Yeah.
Because like even Scott Steiner, he might not be the most popular guy, but he put in his dues at this point for 12, 13, 14 years. Awesome that he's finally getting this amazing singles push, but this is how you're treating his singles push. It's such like sweep it under the rug. It's not going to matter unless you're a big Scott Steiner fan. I never knew that he won this match. I never knew either of these guys were even like. I didn't know that there was a tournament until we were like I was scrambling the other day trying to find something for us to cover.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I saw some of these matches, I'm like, oh, this looks like a pretty decent card. And
Yeah.
I was like, and then like, you see what they did with it. It's like,
It's super interesting to see though, man, because if if you only hear what Vince Russo did, it's good to see the bullshit that and to go back and see the bullshit that he's done. Because it was on him, man. A lot of this stuff was on him. And yeah, so we have a new U.S. champion, heavyweight champion, new United States heavyweight champion, Scott Steiner, and that super weird finish. WCW always seem to botch their creative finishes. They always did something weird.
what, are you gonna try and sit there and tell me that Hogan slamming Andre is not on the same level as Hogan knocking out Nash with his finger?
What about Hogan throwing a fireball in Warrior's face and it went off beforehand and then
Burned up his eyebrow.
Yeah.
You're trying to tell me WCW didn't know what they were doing?
What about the fast 3 count? That was a regular 3 count, but then you still had
Oh God,
Bret Hart came in, Bret came in.
Yeah,
He's like,
Bret
hey,
comes
run
in,
this back. I'm the ref. Fuck you, ref. It's like, wait a minute. It was a regular count, though. Yeah, but it was supposed to be fast, but Hogan switched it up.
Yeah, it was he was supposed to cheat, but he didn't. We restart it, and you cheat. Like,
Yeah.
what? Oh,
Which, dude, it's perfect segue into the next match. Super long, fantastic worker in Diamond Dallas Page doing his thing versus. Look, I've always hated on Jeff Jarrett. He's a good worker, but he's an average guy to me. Like, he's never been like, oh my god, I need to see Jeff Jarrett. He's always been average to me.
yeah, I'm cool with Jeff Jarrett being like
Intercontinental champ. Yeah.
IC champ, United States champ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with that. I can see him in the tag team champ picture. I can see him challenging for the heavyweight title in a 4 corners match, in a triple threat match, where he somehow sneaks into the match but doesn't get the win. But as the actual champion who's supposed to go forward for the company, I can't buy it. Like, he's not good enough on the mic. He's not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just off. Hey, what's going on, guys? We got the kids joining us.
They're back.
Podcast.
You say hi to Ralph?
Hi.
Okay.
They can't hear me, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys gonna go have your bath? Okay, let's go.
Bye.
Bye.
You know what, Carla? At nighttime, Raph turns into a Ninja Turtle and fights crime. Really. Swear to God.
Whatever you do it, guys. For those of you guys checking us out on video, you guys get to see Ryan's cute ass kids.
If you're only listening to the audio, you have no idea what's happening.
Yeah,
and
Ryan's
Raph may or may not be a Ninja Turtle.
No, I'm a Ninja Turtle at night.
Yeah.
Especially that day on Shrooms. I should have watched the Ninja Turtles. I have it on Blu-ray. The Return of the Ooze.
Oh, that's a
the
great
Ooze.
one. Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, Secret of the Ooze. Yeah. Yeah. So, I'd probably give this match a B. It's a good match, but man, WCW always fucks it up at the end, man. So
it was such a good finish, but it was told so terribly.
Yeah, so here's what happens at the end. Bischoff comes out, gets on the apron. The ref goes and gets grabbed by Bischoff, and Bischoff isn't letting him go, and he's pretending that he's gonna try to hit Bischoff. He's like, "Let me go, or I'll hit you." And they have this weird confrontation with each other where they're grabbing each other on the apron.
And it was a good 45 seconds to a minute and a half, like somewhere. It was a long time for them to go, because Kimberly took her sweet ass time to get in the ring.
Yeah, so Kimberly was supposed to. Well, it was alluded that she wanted to hit Jeff Jarrett herself with the guitar. Diamond Dallas Page sets her up to hit him with the guitar. She hits Page instead of hitting Jarrett purposely, and then Jarrett gets the win.
And I'm gonna
Super
say
weird.
this is why DDP is such an amazing seller. Anyone gets hit with a guitar, they drop.
Mm-hmm.
DDP gets hit by his wife. So to sell the fact that, and again, not sexist, male wrestlers are just supposed to be stronger than unless you're like something like China or Asia, right? Like aside from that, women wrestlers are all, even though they might be badasses, they're supposed to be lesser in strength. Paige takes a shot with the guitar and he stands there wobbling. Instead of just going down and having Jarrett pick him up and hit his finisher, Paige stood there like about to fall, but that hit wasn't strong enough, so he needs one last shot to finish him off. Like, if you want to say, like, I love DDP. I've always said he's my favorite WCW guy. You want to see like a really good storyteller, watch Paige and how Paige saved this match. This match would be a C-level match if he wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought it up to, I'd go like a B+ to a B, like you said.
I'd give it better, but that ending, man, it was so weird. It's like,
I'm cool with the turn. Mm-hmm. It's just how long it took. This is the kind of time where you should have a ref bump. They're like, maybe Bischoff is trying to distract the referee. DDP goes to get Bischoff. Jarrett gives him like a knee to the back, and he crashes, and the referee gets sandwiched, goes down. That's how. And then now you have Bischoff standing there, and he's still on the thing, distracting maybe. Kimberly comes in to help.
Yeah, but
like,
in my head, it's like, if I were DDP, why is Bischoff holding the referee for me to let Elizabeth hit, or Kimberly hit?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's where the referee needs to be knocked out.
Yeah, that wasn't for Bischoff to be holding him at that time. That's why it's like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute, Bischoff. You knew that. Like, I guess you could have known that Kimberly was going to do that, but why did DDP allow you to? DDP would have gone up to you and be like, get the fuck out of here, and hit you off.
Yeah, that's true. I never even thought of that angle. That's really true. Yeah, because the announcers did a good job telling the home audience that Bischoff must be working with Paige, or Paige must be the new blood. Mm-hmm. But they also, throughout the entire match, talked about how Paige was going to be the one Millionaires Club guy to win the belt. So they were referencing Paige was not in the new blood, and then referencing that maybe Bischoff and Paige. Like, I didn't even catch that, but
like, they always seem to like. There's always something weird in there, like with the Brett being on the sidelines, and he's like, no, you guys got to rerun it. It's like, but it was a normal count, but it was supposed to be a fast count. Hogan switched it up. It's like, yeah, but it was a normal count. This one, it's like, look, we get what you guys are trying to do, but it could have been executed better. Like, Bischoff could have hit the ref, and then DDP could have hit Bischoff, and then you set up where he grabs Jarrett off the floor, and Kimberly comes in, and instead of hitting Jarrett, hits DDP. They wake up the ref, and they have whatever they want to go on.
Or even make it look like an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jarrett kind of moves out of the way. Kimberly hits Paige. She's in shock. Bischoff, as gently as he could, maybe tackles her out of the ring. Jarrett gets the pin. And all of a sudden, Kimberly's all distraught. And then she gives like that traditional heel turn smirk and hugs Eric Bischoff. And it's like, what? Like, it was a planned guitar hit. Like, we didn't say that. Like, we've just laid out 3 endings better than the supposed greatest writer in wrestling history has given. and are like, I don't know. But I guess this was why WCW come next March is no longer operating.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that brings us to an end of that pay-per-view, Ryan.
So much potential, so many amazing stories could have been told.
Oh, dude, when you tell me it's like all the titles are vacated and it's matches, tournament matches for the titles, I was like, damn, this is gonna be badass. And then
I feel like I owe you now because of how bad this thing was.
no, dude, it's like I said, it's
you know what I
awesome.
mean, though?
It's
It's just
awesome
like,
to go back and review these things and see how garbage
yeah,
Russo really is and what he was trying to do and how awful it was, and even to think about how much better you could have, in hindsight, how much better you could have put together the ending of that match. They had time.
yeah,
They were writing it out. It's not like it was on the fucking improvisation. They were fucking. They had time to write this shit out, and just DDP not doing something about what's his name on the apron, Eric Bischoff on the apron when he's trying to get the victory over Jeff. It's like, oh, thanks a lot for letting me hit your buddy Jarrett with a guitar. It didn't make sense to me. I was thrown off by that, and it's the last match. It's like, why confuse the crowd like that, guys? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Thanks a lot, WCW.
But just potential wasted.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like they went to greener pastures when WWF got them, because some of these guys, like, this was the end of the road, because WWF already had a roster of 120 guys maybe, and they couldn't take on another 120 guys, so they could only take the cream of the crop. So WCW folding actually ends up hurting the business, but also hurt a lot of wrestlers too, that these guys end up going to independent scenes or a whole new line of work, a lot of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's shitty, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of potential, there's a lot of potential in AEW. You got any plugs, Ryan? Any final thoughts before we bring this ship to a close? Or
Yeah, do a quick final thought, not to get too sappy. We're not recording next week. Next week's our off week, so I won't be able to tell the story then. So a year ago, this period, Raph and I were in a bit of a rough patch. I'm not getting into details, not necessary for the background, but we weren't talking, and it was really crappy for me. And next Saturday, June 8th, will be the anniversary of Anthony Bourdain passing. And for those of you who don't know me, I owe my entire everything that I have to this day on Anthony Bourdain. He's why I cooked. Cooking led me to my wife. My wife gave me my kids. Without Anthony Bourdain, I don't know where I would have ended up. I don't know who I would have ended up with, what life I would have. So when he passed away last year, I was in a dark spot, and I had nowhere to turn to. I was just alone, couldn't talk to anyone. I didn't know what to do. And out of the blue, Raph messages me, and basically all the nonsense between us, he just, threw in the trash, tossed out his heart to me, let me know he was there for me. And that moment, I realized how true of a human being Raph is, and how amazing of a man that you are. And I am so appreciative to have you in my life for that moment. You don't know. I'm not gonna say I was in a dark spot where I was gonna do something drastic, but I was very lost with everything that had happened. And I didn't feel like anyone I could actually talk to would understand, someone that I've never met, and someone who didn't know I existed, how much they influenced my life. And I'm so grateful that you reached out to me that day. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being an amazing friend and an amazing human being, Raph.
No problem, brother. Thanks a lot for helping me with all this Full Heel podcast stuff. More content means I can get more episodes out there, and more people like consistency. So I've been seeing a lot of views go up just because I can advertise the show a lot more. And like I said, new episodes means people are interested. So you've been helping me out a lot with that. I want to thank you for, like I said, taking time out of your day, helping me out record this, taking 3 hours out of your time too, and watching old school pay-per-views. Yeah, no, I just saw from the little interactions we had, I seen how much Bourdain had meant to you, and I'm like, you know what? It's bullshit that me and Ryan aren't talking over some stupid shit. I'm like, Ryan's a cool guy. He's a good guy. It's nothing that we shouldn't fucking let get between us. And I'm like, I'm gonna hit him up, because I knew you had mentioned Anthony Bourdain a couple times. So I'm like, I know this, and I knew you were a chef. So I'm like, this guy probably means a lot to Ryan. I'm gonna reach out to him, see how he's doing. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I didn't let some stupid beef get between us. And look at us now, watching old school pay-per-views.
Hey, I got a fucking title. I'm a correspondent.
Yeah, you're
look at me. I made it, Ma.
So go ahead and check out the video if you guys want to see Ryan's Attitude Era correspondent thing. I'm gonna try to make it better, just so it fits a little bit better. It actually looks pretty good, but I had other lettering on the bottom. It's like WCW Spring Stampede, but I could fix that easily. Just now I know the parameters on this. Just because I had to expand it and stuff. But go ahead and check out Full Heel Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube. Over 100 episodes of podcasting with either me, Ryan, me or Jeff, me or Jesus, or me in the Full Heel Podcast Fight Companion, Fight Crew. There's like 8 of us in that crew.
And if I must say, 5 of those are just worth listening to.
Yes. I agree. You gotta have numbers, bro. Sometimes they can't all make it. No, I'm just kidding. I love all those guys. I'll see if I can have a fight campaign this weekend. I don't know. It's an early show. I might hold off on seeing it till later. Joshua's definitely boxing at night, and I have the zone, so I should do I'll see who wants to come over for a fight campaign. These guys are trying to watch a soccer game in the morning, so if I go watch the soccer game with them, I think I could convince some of the guys to come watch the fight.
This is going to really decide the future of me as a correspondent, but Liverpool or Tottenham?
I'm going for the underdog. I'm going Tottenham. No.
Oh, my boy. Yeah,
can't go
no
for Liverpool.
Scousers in this household. My family bleeds red.
I don't know too much about soccer, so I'm going for the underdog.
Your boy Frankie and me have been talking.
Oh,
he wants to.
These guys love soccer.
Yeah, he was saying he wants to maybe start a soccer podcast. I said, "Oh, if you're down."
Good luck with that. It's been 2 years in the making.
He said he's interested in doing it. I'm like, hey, if you ever do it, you call. I said you do it.
I trust Frankie will do it, but I don't know if he's going to get Johnny to commit his time or dedicate a schedule to it. Johnny runs by the beat of his own drum, so
I've already dedicated my time, and he seemed very happy the fact that we connected over soccer. So look at Blake Stevenson is now connecting me to your boys, and who knows?
Yeah.
I'm bouncing around doing MMA with Jeff, wrestling with you, and
soccer with Frankie.
Hoodie with Frankie.
I've been telling him, I'm like, hey, I got the studio. But even that, if he does it with you, he doesn't even need the studio because he could just do it through Skype and OBS.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna let him borrow my mic. So he could buy one. He's got money. But if he needed to have Johnny here, I definitely have this. That's why I've said they could use a studio because he wanted Johnny to do it because I don't know, him and Johnny, we've been playing soccer forever. They were playing soccer all throughout college. They were in their varsity high school leagues, but now they're all fat and old. So take that, fatzos.
I was talking to him a couple weeks back, and I was like, it's actually refreshing to talk about someone who doesn't say, oh, Messi or Ronaldo, like someone who actually knows other names. It's oh wow, this is actually kind of nice.
You gotta admit, Ronaldo's pretty dreamy.
Oh fuck, man! God, that Portuguese skin, man.
Thanks a lot, Ryan. I'm gonna see you guys next time on the Full Heel Podcast.